What's up, you sick motherfuckers? Welcome to another episode of Flesh Wound Horror. I'm Mike Kruger, joined with producer Todd Loya.
What's up?
And today we got two films from Unearthed Films, Too Extreme for Mainstream line, House of Flesh Mannequins and 29 Needles. So we're going to keep 29 Needles for our main event. So we'll start off with House of Flesh Mannequins. So, House of Flesh and Mannequins, the synopsis, is a loner artist with the history of abuse meets a beautiful woman who takes an interest in his life and work, leading to a chilling path of tragedy. So, this one has like a very art house feel to it. And I think some of like that approach can confuse some people on what's going on. If you're not really like into artsy horror movies, I don't really see you enjoying this one, but, I think that's a fair warning. Just know that this is very art house. There's disturbing content throughout this. There, like right off the bat, there's a particular scene with a fucking clown that like really sets the tone of the fucked up journey you're about to go on. I really thought the main character, Sebastian, just his fucked up movies and his backstory, the way they get told from that home media perspective, and he's like, you know, showing that girl his past, it's really fucked up and eerie, and you definitely get a sense of how damaged his character is. There's also like this other twisted character that really just fucking it just made my skin crawl, and it was that really disgusting porn director. They made that guy just so fucking despicable and such a sleazeball, and just really effective character. As the story started unraveling and you get into like the second act at the House of Flesh Mannequins, we see a plethora of hypersexual and eerie imagery. It gets very pornographic, which was pretty expected, and it's also blended with like human deformities and body horror. Definitely not for the faint of heart. There's actually some torture scenes in this that were performed by extreme body performers. So some of the stuff in this movie is actually real, which kind of blurs the fucking lines of what was done, you know, and accomplished through makeup effects and, you know, what was actually, you know, real torture scenes that we saw. And I really wonder what some of the dick torture. The makeup and the gore effects, though, that are there, I thought were actually really well done, especially for the budget. There was a couple of things I would like to talk about in spoilers that I just thought were pretty cool looking and eerie. My biggest gripe is some of the story kind of gets a little bit confusing, especially like there's this scene with Sebastian and the girl that's taking interest in him, Sarah's dad, and they're like interacting, and it just was kind of confusing. Also, the ending twist I wasn't crazy about, but overall, man, this is definitely worth the watch if you're a fan of extreme cinema, especially with the kind of flavor that some of the stuff is actually real in it. I think just adds to the, you know, the want of wanting to see this, being a guy that's such a fan of extreme cinema, and it definitely didn't disappoint me. And I would say if you're a fan of extreme films and a fan of art house style, low budget indie horror, definitely give this a check out. Totally worth the purchase. And I know that these are these Blu-rays that Unearthed put out, I think are just a limited run. So make sure you get it before it sells out forever, because this is definitely one you want in your collection if you're a collector of extreme horror.
Yes, absolutely. I kind of this line I've kind of been going in weird, you know, a little like I don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But this one pleasantly surprised me. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who kind of got confused in some bits.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just me. It had a little more story than a lot of, you know, the stuff from this line. And I think now I'm at the point where I need like story, not just gore scenes, because once you've seen enough, you're kind of like, okay, I know what's going on. But like you said, the effects were good. And like you said, you didn't know which were what. This one I actually did end up liking. I mean, I'm not going to recommend it to a lot of people. But
yeah, you have to be a certain fan of, you know, but I think like if you're a fan of Unearthed stuff, and especially a fan of this line, like the two other movies that came before this, Deep Web and Torment, if you like those, I can definitely see you liking House of Flesh Mannequins big time. So
Yeah.
What?
Oh
go
no, I
ahead.
was gonna say if I watched, I was gonna recommend it to somebody. I'd be like, oh, I gotta call Kruger then.
Yeah, right. So what would you rate this one, Todd?
This one I kind of went back and forth on.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a 3.5. I mean, because it's not all the way there, but
Yeah,
it's still entertaining. Well, if you like this sort of thing.
yeah. I'm a 3.5 too. 3.5 out of 5. For those that
Yes.
haven't seen our previous videos, we rate on a scale of 0 to 5. But yeah, I'm a 3.5 out of 5 too. It definitely hits the mark on the extreme content and like again the fact that there's actual extreme body performance. I know a little bit about that. Being a deathmatch wrestler, and I actually really appreciate that there's a movie out there like that that had people actually doing some real shit,
Yeah.
some stuff with some needles and
Yeah.
thread and just
I had
glass.
to look.
Oh,
I had to look away a couple times.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, that's too much for me.
Yeah, there's some fucked up shit in this movie,
I'm
and
not a fan of the needle stuff. So
yeah. So now we're gonna move on to a very anticipated release in my for me this year, and that is 29 Needles, the newest addition to the Two Extreme for mainstream line. And the synopsis on this one is uh Francis uses pain to hold back his inner demons, but when this no longer works, his obsession for pain, sex lead him into a new territory. um so this is a movie I needed to watch twice for this review, particularly because this was very, very hyped. Stephen Byros explained that this is one of the most fucked up movies he's ever seen in his life. And with that hype going in, I was maybe expecting a little too much. And I was a little bit disappointed on my first watch. But I've already said after I watched it the first time, I'm going to watch it again because maybe without the hype, my opinion will change. And it did change. The movie's like, I'll start with some of my gripes. The movie's very much a character study, and with like a slow, methodical descent into hypersexual madness. And the main character, Brooke, was just very well acted, and I found like his performance and his character definitely outshined everybody else in the movie. Like because there's like I felt like the other characters other than him were a little bit weak. I also found the dialogue in some scenes were a little too dragged out, and some scenes were just kind of longer than they should have been. But by listening to the director's commentary, I found out that those scenes were intentionally like that for artistic purposes. It just didn't really work for me all the times, and I felt kind of hurt the pacing a little bit. I also was maybe expecting a little bit more blood and gore in the effects department. But again, listening to the director's commentary, there's a lot of stuff that was planned and just didn't work out. So I would just say that this definitely takes it more into a sexually fucked up route. And while I was expecting that, I think a couple more scenes of brutality could have did it good. My final gripe was that like I was expecting this truly to be the most fucked up movie I've ever seen. And looking back, like I didn't get that on my first viewing. And I think that was a really, really unfair expectation, to be honest with you. Because this is more than just a fucked up movie, in my opinion. So as far as like the positive stuff, this is 110% too extreme for mainstream. There is sexual imagery in here that's going to sit with you for a while. In particular, the reason why I have this prop over here that you could get out of from Unearthed Films web store, signed by the director. This finger is a part of one of the most fucked up things I've seen in a very, very long time.
which I'm sure we will discuss in spoilers.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that in the spoiler section. But yeah, man, that was really fucked up, and there was a lot of fucked up stuff in this movie. And I really liked a lot of the symbolism and some of the stuff that we saw too. I highly recommend, if you didn't enjoy this movie your first viewing, listen to the director's commentary the second, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get my first viewing, and having Scott Gorgons explain what his vision was and why this was, like this, definitely helped out a lot of my understanding to what was going on. The score on this movie is really effective, and I was surprised by that. Like, usually you don't go into an extreme movie expecting, a fantastic score, great from, a technical aspect. But man, the score was really good and added a lot to the scenes and really set the mood well. I also really like the ending. There's like this big reveal of a plot point, and then like the final shot is very reminiscent to the poster art. I just thought it was really good, fucking strong final imagery at the ending. I will say too, like there's a shit ton of heart and just work put into this, especially again listening to that director's commentary. I can't recommend that enough. Just hearing like how all the symbolisms was planned and how the director got some of these actors to do, such fucked up things on screen. Just it's honestly inspiring from a filmmaker's standpoint. So overall, now watching this a second time, I don't think it was overhyped. And I actually did enjoy my second viewing with the director's commentary a lot more than my first viewing. I don't know how often I'm going to revisit this film because this is kind of something you need to watch in a room with your door locked and not have anybody around you. But I don't regret my purchase one bit, and or my purchase of the finger, because I just now every time I look at it, I just picture that fucked up scene. If you consider, again, if you this is another one where if you consider yourself a collector of the most extreme films you can find, this is a must-have purchase. You can't have a collection like that without having this film in that collection. And I'm very, very much looking forward to what Scott Philip Gorgons' next film is going to be, because this was his debut feature. And listening to the making of, he's already explained that he doesn't ever want to hold back in his films, and he wants to take shit to, extreme levels. And he's already writing his second movie. So I'm all for it, and I'm ready to watch it.
Wow. Yeah, I think you liked it a lot more than me. It was extreme. It was hard to watch at times, which is what it was going for. It just didn't connect for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I would recommend it to anyone who loves gore films and stuff like, extreme films, I guess I should say, is because it's not just gore. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm good with that. I watched it and I don't need to go revisit it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to feel that way. And like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to, I maybe down, like this is a movie like I'd like to show people to watch how their reactions and shit like that. But I don't know if like I can see myself clamoring to put this back in my Blu-ray player like I have with maybe some other films from the Too Extreme for Mainstream line.
Right.
That being said, though, I don't think it's disappointing. Like, if you're expecting fucked up shit, you want some fucked up shit, you're gonna see some of the most fucked up shit you've ever seen in your life. And definitely, again, Too Extreme for Mainstream.
Yeah.
So what would you rate this one?
This was a hard one for me because for the line Too Extreme for the Mainstream, I mean, it does what it sets out to do. Even though it wasn't for me, I'm still going to give it a 3.
Yeah,
because I know it's going to deliver, what people want.
Yeah, you're actually dead on with my rating. My 3 out of 5 as well. Like the first time I watched it, like I really didn't like it.
I know.
but the second time, and especially with the director's commentary, 3 out of 5 I think is very respectable. Scott Philip Gorgons, you got a fan of me. Like, you really put together a visceral, fucked up experience, a really fucked up thrill ride. And I'm just like, I'm interested to see what else is in your twisted mind that you can bring out to, on screen. Because like I said, dude, there's a lot of stuff that didn't actually make it on screen that he wanted done. And man, if they would have been able to pull those effects off, especially, you know, it was basically budget restrictions, I think, and time. But if they were able to pull those effects off that they wanted to, man, there is some more fucked up shit that other than just that finger, let me tell you. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 for me, 3 out of 5 for Todd. Definitely a recommendation though if you're a fan of extreme films and a fan of this too extreme for mainstream line from Unearth. So without further ado, I think we'll go into our spoiler section. So if you don't want this spoiled, here's your warning. Make sure that you click off, watch the movie, and then come back and click back on and see what we have to say.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and if you are bowing out right now, please check out the website, fleshwoundfeatures.com. It's got links to straight to our t-shirts, which is, if you haven't got, they're available now. Go get some. And our Patreon.
Yep. Patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures starts at just $1. We got exclusive and early content on there for you. Some commentaries on there too, and there's going to be a lot more content coming there. And there's already a shit ton, so you definitely get worth your money. So yeah, it just starts at $1. So if you like what you see here, go subscribe to that, and let's get into spoilers.
All right, let's go.
All right, so I'll start with House of Flesh Mannequins. So, man, that naked clown flashback with the fucking funnel dick, the tiny funnel dick, like, dude, that shit was fucked. Like, I did not like just. I was not expecting that at like so early in the movie, and I was just like that imagery of that clown and it just being kind of like a home movie and like, you know, filmed with a home movie. That shit was just really disturbing. I was just like, oh great. And then like right after that, we see the old man buying you know, some CP off the porn director on the street, and yeah, I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna be a really fucked ride. And that sleazy porn curator, man. When he's interacting with his child actors, and that scene with the fucking naked Rey Mysterio, that was fucking unsettling and uncalled for, homie. Like, I was like, I did not need this shit. I mean, that was just fucked. And like I said, this movie is just so fucked. And you know, once we get to the flesh mannequin scene, Sebastian's looking through you know, all the windows. That first entity that kind of has like a face coming out of the face, the side of his face, I thought that makeup effect looked really cool. And then there's like another scene that comes pretty shortly after that where there's a dude like walking on glass, but the glass is like on top of a wine barrel, and his blood is like going into the wine barrel, out into this, you know, out the spout. It was just so disturbing. He's just walking on it, and then eventually he gets off it, puts his head on it, and then some dude comes and steps on his fucking head. Like, I wonder if that shit was real, because that really, like, it looked like real glass. If anybody would know, it'd be me. So fucking I that was really an unsettling scene. And then like when Sarah finds the snuff film in Sebastian's apartment towards the end, that dude that had like the catheter needle shoved through his shaft of his shit, like, I was like, oh man, was that fucking real? And then like just the whole torture sequence after, this chick's getting fucking holes drilled into her goddamn skin and suspended hooks through her boobs, and that was just twisted. I loved it because like this chick is just like having her, like, they were pulling her skin with hooks and then having somebody drill holes into the pulled skin. Like, I've never seen that before. That was really fucked. And then that scene after, we see this girl with clothes, the safety pins on her face, getting her nipples cut off and her fingernails cut into with a straight razor. That shit was really fucked up and disturbing. I just, as far as like from a effects standpoint, was extremely well done and convincing. Like I said, this movie, if there's something that this movie does right, it's blur the lines of what's real and what's fake. I just think that's really a cool charm to have for extreme film, because you don't see that usually. You know, most of the time people would be dying if you know, the shit was real. But
right.
But yeah, you got anything for House of Flesh Mannequins?
No, I mean, you nailed it.
Gotcha. So we'll move on to 29 Needles. All right, so How so there's a scene where a dude ejaculates on himself and it's a brown liquid that's coming out, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And like I listened to the director's commentary, and that was real. The dude had a surgery and had a problem to where like he would come blood. So like fucking
That was so much worse.
yeah, so like apparently he just kind of let his shit fester in there for like a couple of days, and that's why it came out brown. Like that is fucking disturbing. It's fucking disgusting, but man, I mean, talk about sacrificing for your art.
Oh, that guy can't catch the Rona.
Yeah, right. Like, oh my god. But and then the scene where Francis is he's getting anal sex, and when the dude pulls out, a whole dildo falls out of his ass. So like that was real too. I found that out. I was like, oh my god, like why what? And apparently I guess I think he volunteered to do it, and I'm like, oh my god, bro, like fuck me. So like the one thing that I wanted more of from this movie was that giant penis monster. That thing was fucking nasty looking, that worm penis thing, and it has like gills near the head of it. That shit was nasty. So the big thing that we need to talk about is this fucking finger. So first off, Stephen Byron, the nicest way possible, you're a fucking asshole for having me buy this fucking finger. So the scene is Francis is getting like, I don't know if he's like, sticking his fingers in his ass or whatever, but he pulls him out and a bunch of severed fingers come flying out his ass. And it is fucked up and really fucking disturbing. Like the imagery of it. And I find out that this scene, 100% real. This dude had a bunch of fucking prosthetic fingers up his ass, and what happened was something having to do with the silicone, with the lube that they fucking put in. They all formed together, so they were having like serious problems, and he almost had to go to the hospital because they wouldn't all come out, and it was like a fucking ordeal. So first off, the actor who played the main character, I don't have his name off the top of my head, but Brooke Berry. He definitely fucking sacrificed his body and his health for this fucking movie. Unfortunately, he passed 2 years ago, so rest in peace. Without you, we wouldn't have one of the most fucked up. And like, it's not even just like the imagery of it's fucked up, but like to hear that this guy literally fucking did that to himself for the sake of the art of the film. I mean, talk about dedication for your art. And then you find out that there was there's a scene in the movie towards the end where a guy's fisting him, and then he insinuates that he cuts his, hand off or whatever. And I guess what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to have that fisting scene. He was supposed to cut the hand off, and then there was going to be a scene of the whole hand coming out Brooke's ass, and it just didn't work. And there was another scene too where they were doing some like pole play with sticking in the head of the dude's shit, and there was supposed to be a scene where they grabbed it and twisted it and like it ripped the whole penis in half, but unfortunately the effect just didn't work out, so they didn't get to do that. And like I think just like what had me disappointed was I was maybe expecting a little bit too much gore. And like it is, again, like I said before, this is much more of a sexually fucked up and disturbing movie than it's a gore fest. There's scenes, but there isn't like a plethora like I was expecting. But I mean, for the fucking finger scene alone, I think it's definitely worth the purchase and being in the library, because like that's got to be top 5 most fucked up things I've ever seen in cinema. I mean, really, it has to at least be top 5, and at least 2 of those things from my top 5 list have been a part of the too extreme for mainstream line. So yeah, it definitely lives up to its reputation.
It does. I'm afraid for the next one now.
Yeah, me too, man. Like, I think you can take the spoiler thing off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what else. Like Unearth has got some big fucking releases this year too. They've got a lot of stuff coming out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else this line brings, because it's definitely brought me some really disturbing shit. But also, like, I'm really looking forward to these releases coming up from Unearth Films. They got Evil Dead Trap, which I've never seen, coming out. I think it's coming out in August. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then they also have No Reason coming out, which I've heard is a splatter fest of fucked upness, and there's just the cover of it has me sold, because it's like this big Cthulhu looking octopus fucking head. I'm just like, all right, fucking somebody torturing people with an octopus mask. Let's fucking go. So I'm really looking forward to those releases, and also a Serbian film extended cut. I know. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon, but I know it's coming out in the future. And also a Serbian documentary, the documentary on a Serbian film that Stephen Biro is directing, is coming out eventually. And those are more things that I look forward to. They already are coming out with more Ryan Nicholson stuff, so I'm sure we're going to cover that. And yeah, man, this is just this was fun. I'm glad that you guys got to join us on our fucked up journey into depravity and sexual violence. And
it was depraved. Depraved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, man, highly recommend these two films from Unearth Films, and make sure to go get them, because I don't think they're going to be there forever.
Yeah, and if you do, you get a poster too.
Yeah, if you order straight from the Unearth website, you usually get a poster. So, and make sure you keep doing that. Make sure you keep supporting Unearth Films, so fans of us the extreme content get our bloodthirst quenched. But without further ado, make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our social media. We're on everything.
Twitch now.
Yeah, Twitch now. Go give us a follow on Twitch. I'm sure we're going to start doing more content up on there. Maybe some exclusive content on there eventually. And yeah, just thank you guys for joining us. I'm out.
All right. Peace, y'all.